immersive media, and extended reality. So now I would like to welcome Faith Benson, who is our program manager for the Spark Fellowship, to take us further in the event. Welcome, Faith. Welcome on stage.
Hi Priyanshi, thank you, thank you. I hope I'm audible and everyone can hear me.
Yes, well and good. Um,
Hear me.
yes, we can hear you, Faith. I think there was a bit of network glitch.
Okay, is there a lag?
Sorry?
Is there a lag? Can you hear me when I speak, or is there like a short intermission time?
And no, it's good. There was a bit of lag, but now it's good.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just wait a second for my slides to come up. Hi everyone. Hi. I can't see everyone is here, but yeah, thanks for joining in. Awesome. Thank you. Yes. So I'll just be doing a short presentation on the Spark Fellowship. What is the Spark Fellowship and what are we building in the Spark Fellowship? And so, in the simplest of words, we could say the Spark Fellowship is Africa Communicate building a digital workforce for the future. So, a little about me before we go ahead. I'm Faith Benson. I'm a program manager at Africa Communicate, and I lead the Spark Fellowship.
Sorry, Faith. Are you still there with us? There was a bit of network glitch, guys. So let's
Which
just
is a
Faith. There is actually a bit of network glitch. Okay, she has left the meeting. Let's just wait for her to come back.
yeah.
Yes, you did. You had a bit of network glitch, but it's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Anyways, I think you can just get right into it. So I believe my you can see my slides though.
Yes.
Okay. So I think I should just do a brief intro on Africa Communicate. Africa Communicate is a launch pad for stakeholders in the Africa games industry, in the immersive and interactive media industry, video games, animation, XR, you name it. And so, what we're doing at Africa Communicate is building an ecosystem that feeds of itself. And so, we have different arms. We have the Spark Fellowship, which is what I will be introducing more of to you as time goes on, which is where we kind of create a pathway for people who are interested in the industry to get their foot in, start working, know what's about, learn, get the skills and competencies that they need to compete favorably in the industry. And then we have the ARC Fellowship, which is the business arm to empower founders with entrepreneurial skills to go out there to pitch, to grow their businesses and enlarge their studios. And then we have challenges like the eAfrica Challenge that educates and spotlights digital creators, especially people who are looking into social innovations and trying to give back to the society through their civic responsibility. And then we have the Gameathon, which is our annual convention of stakeholders in the games, animation, and immersive media industry. So that's like a brief overview of Africa Communicate and what we do here. So now let's talk about the Spark Fellowship in particular. So the Spark Fellowship is a 9 month program designed to empower enthusiasts in the creative industry to kickstart their careers, just like I've been saying, to get their foot in the door, to learn the skills and the competencies that they need to, compete favorably in the industry and, get in and start. And why are we doing this? So first of all, socioeconomic empowerment. I mean, we want a situation where people can get jobs, get job opportunities, get skills and competencies that they can apply to various industries to compete favorably in the world as a whole. Also, we can say we don't want how do I put this? We are, it's kind of our way to give back to the society, should I say? Yes, because we're trying to empower people. We can't sit and wait for help to come from outside. We have to empower industry, empower our citizens, sorry about that, to empower citizens to with the skills, the competencies that they need, to compete favorably in the world, get job opportunities, be able to cater for themselves and for their families. Also for inclusion and representation, because we understand that in the creative industry, especially in games development and extra development, Africa may be at a disadvantage. So we try to give Africa that inclusion, that representation, get us to tell our stories in mainstream media and to the wider world. Yeah. So also we need skilled talent, right? It's a new sector in Africa, especially the games development industry. It's a new sector in Africa. We it dates back a few years. I mean, it hasn't been decades yet. So we want to build skilled talent, skilled competencies that can go out into the wider world and represent the talent that is found in Africa. So yeah, those are some of our whys and why we started the Spark Fellowship. Why are we doing this? What are our objectives? We want to empower creative enthusiasts, like I've said over and over again. We want to give creatives the opportunity to apply concepts that they are learning in the real world of work. So if in the Spark Fellowship we don't just impact you know theoretical knowledge, we try to impact practical skills as well. So we give fellows an opportunity to participate to especially I mean like GAIX right now is also an
Yeah, we lost her again. It shows that she has no connection here this side. Anyway, guys, in the meantime, I would like to ask you, heard our program manager for about the Spark Fellowship, about the GAIX. Well, although it was really short because of for internet stability, but I hope it got you excited already about what is GAIX, what is the Spark Fellowship. As we unfold towards more, we have a whole lineup of speakers coming here and talking to you about the GAIX Career Week. Okay, so are you ready for our next presentation? Well, just let me give you a minute because our next presentation is going to be by Louis White. Yes. Now, you might wonder who Louis White is. Louis White, if you have been looking at our if you have been looking at the bios of the speakers that we sent out, Louis White is one of our speakers who's also a producer and a project manager. He is going to introduce you to to the world of gaming and how you can break into it. So just give me a few minutes and we will introduce you to Louis White. Let's keep our fingers crossed for our next presenter, Louis White. So, our next presenter is going to tell you about the various careers in the video game industry. You know, when they say that you cannot be anything you want to, well, here we are kind of going to defy those odds. And you can be anything you want to. Yep, you're a game designer. And yes, our program manager, Faith Benson, is here again with us. Welcome back, Faith.
At the point, I guess you can just nudge me when I'm cut off, so I don't keep babbling, and then I'm completely not on screen.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll just start this all over. Um, I need to know if everyone on the live can hear me. Is there a lag?
No, it's all good. We are waiting for Lucy.
Awesome. So I guess I can start again, or I could just pick up from where I left off. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
definitely.
where exactly I got cut off, but I think I'll start with the Spark Fellowship in particular.
Yes.
Are we good?
Yeah, we are good. Can you just highlight yourself there, please?
Okay. Um, you guys can see my screen here.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Yeah, so the Spark Fellowship is a 9 month program that is designed to help creatives get their foot in the door in the games and interactive media industry. Currently, we have two cohorts running and at different paces and different, speed and covering entirely different curriculum. In the future, I know we plan to have a more diverse kind of audience, I guess, would have more intermediates, fellows. But for now, what we've been doing in the Spark Fellowship is to get absolute newbies into the industry, get them to start, get them to learn the skills and competencies that they need. Yeah. So why are we doing this? I am not sure if I mentioned this earlier, if I got cut off. But yes, we want people to have the skills and competencies that they need. We need African youth to be adequately represented in mainstream media. We want Africa to have the right skills and talent, good skills and talent presented out there. So our objectives are to, provide a safe space for creatives to network, to meet other creatives across Africa. So in the Spark Fellowship, we have fellows from all across Africa, and we have a centralized platform where collaborations can happen. They can build projects together. They can, partner across tracks and interests to build something worthwhile. And also, we also create a platform where we can connect them to studios, to employers, to recruiters looking for talent, especially after we've empowered them with the skills and the competencies that they need. Yeah. Also, one more thing I should mention is that the Spark Fellowship is it's not at all theoretical. We try to be as practical as possible. So fellows are given the opportunity to intern, to learn, to build projects, and to work hands-on and build the skills and competencies that they are learning in the program. Yeah, so I think I'll just go over the demography that we have in our Spark Fellowship. So we have a technical track, we have technical tracks and non-technical tracks. So our technical tracks are tracks like the video games development track, we have 3D animation track, we have XR development track, and then we have the non-technical tracks like product management and digital marketing and journalism. And so if you look at this pie chart over here, you can see the distribution across tracks. Sorry about that. You can see the distribution across tracks, and obviously we have more fellows in the technical tracks than in the non-technical tracks. Yeah, female representation a bit low, but a whopping 32%, which is a lot to say, especially in this part of the world. And also across Africa, we have fellows, 64% of fellows from Nigeria. And then we have fellows spread across Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, Malawi, Ghana, Algeria, South Africa, and other countries in Africa. So yeah, that's those are that's the demography we have in our cohorts at the moment. And then I think I'll just go briefly over the program structure. So yeah, we have first of all the first phase, which is the foundations phase, and for those in the Spark Fellowship is what we call the pre-fellowship, and where we have a lot of self-paced learning to be sure that fellows are dedicated to the field that they chose. They are committed and they can complete these self-learning tasks on their own, get these things done, and it shows drive, it shows commitment, and then they move on to the next phase, which is the phase two and the phase three of the Spark Fellowship. And in that phase, in those phases, that's where they get the actual learning. They get to meet facilitators, they get to have sessions, they get to build their skills, they get to work on projects, they get to participate in jams and all the rest. That's what happens in phase two and three, which covers about 5 months. And then for the remaining 3 months of the fellowship, we have phase four and five, where they're going to get internships, get certifications and exams, get to be at career fairs and meet employers and recruiters and all of that. This the last phase is basically getting fellows into the real world, into the job market, well prepared, well equipped to get the right jobs, get the right opportunities, and even through this all, even though the program is mostly virtual, there are physical meetups and online meetups for fellows to meet, to connect, to share skills, share knowledge, and basically just connect, right? To have that feeling of community. That's also something that is obtainable in the Spark Fellowship. And yeah, I think for some challenges, we can say that um, fellows have had to balance work and life activities, because I know most of our fellows are maybe full time studying, full time working, and yeah, it's been like such an amazing show of commitment. It is an amazing show of commitment, even for people looking to get into the Spark Fellowship. You need to understand that there's you need to master the skill of managing your time and balancing the activities you have to do. So you have to commit to the fellowship, and you also must make sure that the other things in your life are not lagging. Also, obviously, internet and power supply issues, which is all across Africa, all across Africa, not just in Nigeria. So yeah, that also has been one of the challenges we're facing. And yeah, I think we should also add the fact that the get rich quick mentality has become very it's become rampage. I mean, all over. Everybody wants to get it quick, learn quick, get the job quick, get the opportunity quick, get the money quick. And obviously short attention span too, and that's it kind of hinders what we're trying to it's trying it kind of hinders what we're trying to achieve, right? Because we want a situation where people are well equipped before going out in the world. We're especially when people hear, oh, it's a 9 month fellowship, it's like, oh, it's so much, but it isn't. 9 months isn't even enough to get you well prepared to compete favorably out there. So yeah, amongst other things, those are the challenges that we face. And I think I'd just add that we've had the privilege of having people in the fellowship who are committed, who are able to surmount these challenges to the greater degree and have stuck through thus far. Also, I think just a few things we want to go into is beyond the classroom. I mean, beyond the fellowship, beyond the lectures, sessions, and preparation for the world, we also have physical community events, online community events, virtual events, our town hall meetings, track meetings, and all of that to get fellows to connect. And they're also a community events where fellows get to meet with employers. I guess over here you can see some collection of a few of these events. We have the Spark Fellows in Ghana having a physical meetup, the LASU TechX Spark Fellowship. It was like a short community event. Hi, Priyanshi.
There again for a bit. So,
You did?
yeah,
Where?
just now when you were talking about beyond the classroom.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I was just going through like the different meetups and events that Spark Fellows have had the opportunity to attend, like in their different regions and countries. Yeah,
Beautiful.
I'm going to wrap up in a few minutes. I guess yeah, and then we've had our spark fellows go on to do amazing things, like a few of our spark fellows got into the IGDA virtual exchange program. We had a spark fellow, special shout out to AOD of the XR track, who got among the Niantic Studio Developers Accelerator program. We also got Spark Fellows built something amazing for the Active Citizens project, which was about September this year. It was amazing. Both projects were a huge success. We also had Spark Fellows work actively and volunteer in the Gameathon, and that was also amazing. And now we have Spark Fellows, organizing, spearheading, and bringing GAIX Career Week all together. So yeah, that's about that's about how much I needed to say. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for everyone who's here, everyone who found the time to join in. There's a brief shout out to our partners and sponsors. We have been, majorly backed by Unity and Jobs for Future, also the IGDA Foundation, PM Academy. There's been like a lot of partners and sponsors coming together to make sure that this is a success, and the amazing Africa Communicate team and all the facilitators of the Spark Fellowship. So yeah, we have all our facilitators across the, not all of them. I mean, most some facilitators didn't make it to this, but yes, we've had a lot of amazing facilitators, and yeah. So what we're doing in the Spark Fellowship is, like I mentioned earlier, we're building a workforce for the future. So we're building talent in Africa, good talent, not just shabby talent. We're trying to make sure that we build very competent, very skilled talent that would go out and compete favorably in the wider world. So if you're interested in joining us as a sponsor, a mentor, or you want to hire talent from the Spark Fellowship, please contact us at people at africacomplicate.org. Would be really pleased to have you um, join in. I think, if there are any questions I guess you could ask before I just hop off the screen. I can't see the comments or anything, so maybe if anyone has a question, I could just answer that before moving on. Okay. All right. Thank you, Rita. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Priyanshi. It's been an honor being here and telling you about the Spark Fellowship. I guess I was running through it because of my time allocation. But yes, some other time when we have more time to talk in detail about the Spark Fellowship, I'd be happy and honored to do same. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Pleasure is all ours. Faith. Thank you so much for having us as a Spark Fellow. Okay, guys. So, the most awaited moment of the day, presenting to you Lewis White, who's going to tell you about all the careers that are there in the game industry. You know, they say that you have to follow a designated path in life to be successful. Well, here at Africa Comicade, with the Spark Fellowship, we say you can be anything you want. And this is why we have here Lewis White, who is going to present you all the careers that are available in the gaming industry. Welcome, Lewis. Welcome to GAIX Career Week.
Hello, Piranshi.
Oh,
Good day. Nice meeting you.
same here.
All right.
May you please switch on your camera for our audience?
Okay. Doing that. Hmm.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you so much.
All right. Hola, everybody.
Louis, nice to have you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So, should I proceed?
Yes, please. We were like, eagerly waiting.
Okay. Okay. Good day, everybody. My name is Louis White Jonah, and I'm a UX designer and also a games advocate in the African game scene. And I'll be talking about career paths in the video games industry. Give me a second to share my screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, sorry, I can't see your screen right now.
Okay. Mm,
Yes, there. You need to. Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay. Yeah. Good day, everybody. My name is Louis, like I said. So, a little bit about me. Louis, I'm also a UX designer and a games advocate in the African games industry. Currently, I lead Gameverse Africa. Gameverse Africa is at Gameverse Africa, we build game ecosystems, and educational hubs across multiple cities. And we also run a game studio called Six Part Studio, which has launched about four mobile games currently. And also, we've built Eden, which is a platform designed to help creatives, especially in the games industry, to find job opportunities and also gigs in the creative space. Um, okay, career paths in the games industry. So let's start with the video games industry in general. Right, the video games industry is one of the biggest industries in the entertainment space and also in the creative space. And then, if you want to really compare, the video games is actually bigger than music industry and also the movie industry combined together. But one thing about the video games industry is a very quiet space. But now, talking about career paths, I'll talk about the basic myth, the most popular myth in the video games industry when it comes to career paths. So there are different myths when it comes to video games. About the most popular myth in the video games industry has to be that if you're working in the video games industry, you're actually working as a game programmer, and that's like the biggest myth. So many people don't really know that there are different career paths in the video games industry. And then the thing is that many people assume that it takes just one particular skill set to build a game, right? Or to build games. So there are different career paths in the video games industry. And then it's not just because the video games is very large. And then because of that, it needs different skill sets to come together to build a particular game, right? Let's take, for instance, let's use Mortal Kombat as a case study, right? Before the game Mortal Kombat is actually released, there are different skill sets that came into play, and then different people, different roles coming together to build that particular game. And then it involves different career paths, right? And then that is what we want to talk about because the most popular misconception is that you have to be a developer, right? But the truth is that you don't necessarily need to be a developer for you to be in the video games industry, right? And then there are other career paths which other persons can actually try out. So basically, in the video games, we have technical and then we have non-technical career paths because people assume that okay, because it's actually video games, I need to learn how to write codes. But basically, you don't need to, right? Because it has different skill sets. So let's go into the career path, and then I'm going to like generalize it, and then I'm going to go a little bit into it, right? Okay, so career paths, um, career paths in general. So these are like okay, okay. Can you see my screen? Okay, so I have to like make a general overview of career paths in games industry, in the video games industry, right? And then I have game design, I have game programming, I have music and audio, I have arts and animation, I have writing, I have production and management, I have testing and QA and quality assurance, and I have community, right? There are other genres, right? Because these are just like a general theme for career paths. It's not like because if you want to function, the game design has other subsets, right? So we have game design, we have game programming, we have music, we have audio, arts and animation, writing, production, management, and all of that. So these are like the basic career paths that are available in the video games industry. Now let's go deep into each and every one of them, right? So the first most important, not really, we have game design and then we have game programming. Now, if you want to function in the games industry and then you want to function in the design space, there is what they call a level designer, and then there's what they call a narrative designer, and then there's what they call a general game designer, right? Then in the programming part, there's what they call a gameplay programmer, and then there's what they call a gameplay programmer, and then there's what they call AI programmer and all of that, right? Now, for a game designer works on the concept and mechanics and rules of the game. So basically, okay, let me state this. They use in the video games industry, we often use a game developer, right? So as long as you work in the video games industry, you can actually be called a game developer, right? And that means you're actually working in the games industry. It doesn't really mean that a game developer doesn't really mean that you're actually a game programmer or a game designer. It's a general term which we use in the games industry, right? So in category we have the game design, right? So a game design, there are different career paths inside of the game design. Inside of the game design, for people who want to function there, you can actually function as a game designer basically. And then what is your role as a game designer? So your role as a game designer, you design concepts and then you design the mechanics and then the rules of the game. So mechanics is basically how the rules of the game, right? How the game is going to work. And then that is your primary role as a game designer, right? Then we have still in game design, we have what we call the level designer, right? So a level designer creates layout and challenges is in every level of the game, right? And then we all know that okay, while you're playing game, there are different levels. You have level one depending on the particular genre of the game, right? So there are different levels when it comes to game design, right? And then a level design as a level designer, your primary role is to create layouts and then challenges in every level of the game, right? And then we also have the game programming. Now, in the programming is where we have a gameplay programmer, right? An AI gameplay programmer. We also have what they call a network programmer for games that has to do with running on servers, right? We have the game network programmers, and then we have the gameplay programmer. These are the people that write the actual code, and then basically games can be written in like there are different programming languages which can be used in writing game, but the most common we have C sharp and then we have C++, right? These are like most the basic game programming languages. But that does not mean that a game cannot be written with different languages, right? Such as Java, such as Python, such as even web games that can be written with JavaScript and all the likes, right? So as a game programmer, your primary role is for you to learn how to write codes, and then when you write codes, you need to know how to use those codes to make games, right? So a level designer or a game designer is different from a game programmer. So as a designer, you create mechanics and then you create the concept of the game in general, right? And then mostly you get to use tools like Unreal Engine and the likes to create this, right? But for game programming, where you need to write the actual codes, there are different programming languages you need to learn, such as C Sharp, such as C++, and the likes, which are like the most common and the most basic programming languages used in writing games, right? Then depending on other, because some persons do use writing games on the web, you need to know how to use technologies that are based on the web, right? So these are like the major areas. So if you want to work in the games industry as a game programmer, or you're already good with codes, let's say you're coming from the general side of tech, which you've learned how to write codes, and then it's quite easy for you to just move over to the game programming part, and then just focus on the game programming part. Then you learn how to write codes, and then you learn how to write codes for games, and then you build games, right? That is entirely different from game design. Then we have what we call art and also audio and music. Now, when it comes to game art, so game arts are basically this is the category where you find lots of the artists, right? Because when you want to create a game, or for every game, let's use Mortal Kombat as a case study, right? So you need to learn how to, because for these games to be built, they have to be characters, and then most of these characters has to be designed, right? And then the people that does this art are called artists in general. But in the art category, there are different roles, and then there are different kinds of art, right? So we have a general 3D or 2D artist. Now, a 2D or 3D artist are artists that create characters, and then the character can either be in 2D or the character can either be in 3D. So if you want to function, if you're already good with drawings and then you're very good with art, and then you can learn how to create art using 2D art, 3D art, or whatever art category that exists, right? And if you're very good with drawings and all, you can function in the games industry as an artist, right? Or you make 3D art or you make 2D art, right? That's an entire, and this is a very important role in the games industry in general, right? And then we have another games career path, which is called an environmental artist. Now, an environmental artist are artists that create the environment you see in the game, right? Still using a game like Mortal Kombat as a case study, the environment you see most times is being created by an environmental artist, right? And then the role of an environmental artist is to create the environment, right? We have environmental artists, we have 3D artists, we have 2D, 3D artists, character designers, and all of that. So all these are function in the art category, right? And then we have animators, right? So after the art has been created, we need animators in the games industry, to in the video game industry basically, to now animate most of these characters, and that has to do with how they walk. That has to do with the style which they walk, the fighting style, and all of those things, right? And then all these things has to be created. So if you're already an animator, and then you're working in a different industry, or you want to see how you can go into the games industry, you can actually function in the games industry as an animator. The good thing about games industry, and this is one of the reasons why I actually am functioning very well in the games industry, in the video games industry, is that the video games industry, that particular industry that whatever you do, right? Almost whatever you do, you can actually function in the games industry. And then you don't need to learn a different skill. You don't really need to learn a different you don't really need to learn, like, go out of your original niche if you're already in the tech space, right? All you need to do is know how to do that in the games industry, right? So we have animators, and then we have concept artists, and these are the people that create the concept overall in the game, right? And then we have the UI UX designers. Now, this can be UI UX um, can also exist as a genre or as a category on its own, because inside of UI UX we have lots of career paths. But I just have to um, put it inside of the art. But they can also stand alone, right? Now, you can function in the games industry as a UI person, or you can function as a UX person. Personally, I actually focus more on UX because I'm a UX designer. So I do UX for in games. And then a UI is basically a user interface designer, and then a UX is basically a user experience designer. And then what you need to do as for you to function in the games industry as a UI person, you need to understand the tools, you need to understand UI generally. And then for somebody who is coming from the regular background as a UI UX person or as a UI person and then as a UX person, all you need to do is just to understand how to do that in the games industry. It's not really like a rocket science kind of thing. You just really need to know how they do it in the games industry, and then you can actually function. But for people who wants to start out fresh, you need to learn UI UX, or you need to learn UX, or you need to learn UI, depending on where you want to go to. But in general, it's actually advisable for you to learn it, and then you know which one you would function in or which one you do best, right? So as a UX person, your primary role is to design experiences for this game. It's for you to do your research, and also in the UX category, we also have researchers, right? And then these are the people that do the research when it comes to how the game is being played, and all of that, right? So you can function as a UX person, you can function as a UI person, and then you can also function as a UX researcher, and all of that. So if you're already a UI UX person, or you're a UX person, or you're a UX researcher, you can actually work in the games industry. And these are like career paths. In fact, currently we need more of UX in the games industry. So if you're actually a UX person or you're a UI person, you really have a role to play in the games industry, right? Now, talking about audio and music. Now, the games industry is so sensitive that you really need to, for a regular studio, or for a studio, or for a AAA studio, for a good studio that needs to create everything from scratch, you need to have a sound engineer or a sound designer, basically, right? Now, if you look at every game has its own unique sound. Now, you know when you're playing the game and then somebody is walking and then you're having the water splash, the water splash, those sounds you hear are actually made by sound designers, right? The moving of the sword, how the sword sounds, it really sword game, and all of that is being created by sound designers, because it's very crucial that you actually create your own stuff so that you can own your own stuff, right? To avoid copyright and any of those things, right? So in the games industry, if you're a sound designer, you can actually function in the games industry. And if you're somebody who has interest in making sound, and then you're actually watching somebody play a game, and then you hear some certain sounds, all those things were being made by sound designers, right? So as a sound designer, you can actually function in the game industry. And then this is a very rare one, which is called voice actors. So you know when you're playing games and then we have this cut scene where somebody walks up and then they are both having conversation, and then this person is telling this other person what to do, and all of that. All those things are created by voice actors, right? So if you're a voice actor or you want to function in the games industry as as a voice actor, there's actually a career path for you, right? You just need to meet the right people and then know how to go about that, right? Because definitely for most games, especially PCs, console, and all of that has to do with mission, you would need sound, right? You would need voice actors, because people has to voice it, people has to say the words, right? People has to say the things for you to understand what is really happening in the game, right? And then the better the voice, the awesome your game is, right? So audio and music, we have voice actors, we have sound designers, we have composers that does more of the composing, the songs, and all of that, right? Uh, Now, what I'm trying to say is, if things actually categories on the audio and music. And then I'm just picking out the should I say the easiest one that is there, right? Because in the games industry we have there are like several career paths, but these are like the most common, right? Especially in the audio and music, voice acting, sound designers and composers, right? And I talked about art, where I talked about 3D artists, I talked about environmental artists, talked about animators, I talked about concept artists, and also UI UX design, which is supposed to be a category on its own, but it all has to do in the art category, right? And then moving on, we have management, testing, and writing, right? Management, testing, and writing. So before a game is being created, or for most games that has, like let's say, let me still go back to Mortal Kombat, right? Now I know I'm using Mortal Kombat because many persons have actually heard of Mortal Kombat. So in the games industry, before many games have been created, there has to be stories, right? And then for that to actually come into existence, there needs to be a story writer. So the role of a story writer, right? The role of a story writer is to write how the game story is going to be, right? Let's say Liu Kang, like in Mortal Kombat, there's a particular version where there is a story on Sub Zero, right, which is a character in the game. There's another story on Scorpion, which is a character in the game, right? There's another story of Liu Kang. So as a story writer, your primary role is to write stories for each of these games and to make it as compelling as interesting, right? So in the games industry, we have writing and journalism, and then one of the career paths is actually story writer. So if you're very good with writing stories, you're very good with story writing, storytelling, and all of those things, you can actually work in the games industry as a story writer. And then your primary role is to write stories in games, right? Story for games, basically, right? And then we have what we call the technical writer. So technical writers can also technical documentation writers or document technical documentation writers basically. And then what is the role as a technical writer? Your role is to write out the let me put it this way. Now, when codes are being written, right? When codes are being written, like the developers are being writing codes, we need a technical writer or a technical documentation writer to actually document most of these things, right? And then a work of a technical documenter is to document most of the codes, and then not just codes, but also everything that has to do with the game. So if you're already in the tech space and the regular tech space, and then you're working as a technical writer, you can have also it's quite easy for you to deviate into the games industry, and then it's quite easy for you to still maintain what you do as a technical writer or a technical documentation writer and all of that, right? And then we have game journalists. So this is very much important. And then the role of a game journalist is basically to write reviews of games and write reviews of the games industry. Most of the games you'll see out there have been written by they have reviews, right? And then most of these reviews are actually been written by game journalists. So the primary role of a game journalist is to write reviews, is to write about the game. So basically, they are more of a blog writers. They write blogs. You can actually function. You can actually write blogs for games, write blogs for game companies and actual games, also game developers and people who work in the games industry. So a game journalist documents everything that happens in the games industry in general, from the people to the game company to the careers in the games industry, everything that has to do with media and all of that. All those things are being handled by a game journalist. And then if you're already a journalist and then you want to function in the games industry, fine, you can do that. But if you're starting out, you also need to learn how to go about that, right? So we have a game journalist, we have the game story writers, we have the technical documentation writers, and all of that. Now, going towards the management phase, for managers, we have basically a game producer and a game product manager, right? Or a game project manager. So, what's the primary role of a game producer? So, a game producer acts as in Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So as a game producer, your primary role is to oversee the entire game development process from ideation to the final part of the game, right? As a game producer, your primary role is to oversee the game development process, starting with the ideation, right, where the game is being conceived, right? You have to work with the developers. You have to work with everybody that is involved in that particular game, right? You have to work with the artists. You have to work with developers. You have to work with every single body to make sure that the game is actually delivered, right? And then that's your primary role. And then a game producer can also be called a game product manager, because your primary role is to oversee the game from ideation down to the final part of the game where you guys will release the game. So as a game, if you're already a product manager, or if you're already a product manager, and then you want to go into the games industry, you can actually function as a game producer. But most times you need to be the experience in the game space. So that means as a game producer, you need to understand some certain tools. You need to learn the tools used in game product management, right? You need to um, understand the developers. You need knowledge of almost everybody, right? Because as a game producer, you really need to understand everybody's point of view and to make sure that the game is actually published, and then the game comes out pretty well, right? So a game producer works on the entire oversees the entire development process, right, of that particular game, right? And then we also have a game project manager. So the project manager in some companies, a project manager works with budgets and also deliverables. But most times you see a game product manager or a game project manager doing the work of both the producer, right? But in a regular game settings, or in a regular company, in an actual company where we have most of these skills, most of these roles, and then you can actually separate it, and then you can actually function as a game, as a product management, as a product project manager in the games industry. And then your work primarily is to manage the timelines of the game, manage the budgets of the game, manage the deliverables to make sure that the game comes out pretty well, right? And then these are like the two major managerial position in the games industry, right? And then we have QA testing, we have testing, and then we have quality assurance, right? These are actually roles in the games industry. Now, as a game tester, your primary role as a game tester is to test the game, to check the playing experience, and then to identify bugs, and also to ensure that the game meets the quality standard, right? And then as a game tester, your primary role is to make sure that whenever the game is being released, or before the game is being released, the game is actually without a flaw or without a bug, right? The game is without a flaw, and then the game is without a bug. So your primary role as a game tester is whenever they build a game, they send it to you, or you have access to the game, then you can play the game and then look for bugs, and then look for just identify bugs and make sure that when the game is coming out, the game comes out well. And if there is any bug, or if there is any error, and then you feel like, okay, this is not working out well, this is not working out well, you write back to them, and then they fix. And your primary role is so that before the game would come out, people would actually enjoy it, so that the users of that particular game would not be the one looking for most of the bugs. So that before the game would actually come out, you've actually cancelled up to like 90-95% of the bugs, right? And then if you're very good with playing game, and then you have that interest of testing games, you can actually function in the games industry as a game tester, right? And then there's also quality assurance, or let's say QA analyst. And then your primary role as a QA analyst is to develop testing procedures, and also to work with the developers to fix any issue that is in the game, right? Because most times developers, when they're actually programming these games, they might actually have an oversight. And then it's the work of the game testers and then the key analysts to make sure that the game comes out without issues, and then everything that has to be fixed is actually fixed, right? I've talked about management, I've talked about QA testing, I've talked about writing and journalism, right? So there are other many game career paths, right? There are other many game career paths, like for instance, I did not mention esports, right? And then esports is also one of the most important career paths because esports has to do with playing games and then competing professionally, right? And then as a game, as somebody who wants to work in the games industry, but you don't, you want a career in the games industry, but you don't want to code, you don't want to design, you don't want to work in the technical part, you can actually work as or function as an esports player, which is actually a professional role in the games industry. And then esports, they actually becoming a pro gamer or just because become a pro gamer. And then when you become a pro gamer, all you need to do is to choose a particular game which you're very good with, and then you play your game and then you make money from it. You can actually compete professionally with other pro gamers and then to win prizes and then to do other stuff, right? And then we also have the other career part of streamers and content creators. Now, for streamers, you play your game and then you stream online and then you get revenues from streaming platforms, right? There are different platforms which you can stream to. You can stream to Twitch, you can stream to YouTube, you can stream to Facebook gaming, you can even stream to TikTok, right? And then there is also another career path which I forgot to mention, and that is also an becoming an events manager in the games industry, right? And then your role as a games event manager is to organize events and organize game conferences. So there are other career paths. There are lots of career paths in the games industry, and then that has to do with I just mentioned like a few, and then there are still like few I've not really mentioned. But the good thing is, whatever you're doing, you can actually function in the games industry, right? As long as you're coming from the other side of tech. But somebody who has passion for the games industry, and then he or she wants to function in the games industry, all you need to do is to learn and then read about all of these things and then see how you can go into the games industry. Now, the most important question is how can I start a career path in the games industry, right? Because one of the issues we've seen of recent, or like one of the issues we've had in the games industry is many people have these should I say they have this flair and the zeal to work in the games industry or to learn about one of these career paths in the games industry. But oftentimes, it's very difficult to see, should I say, platforms or places where you can actually learn, right? Especially in Africa, where it's very difficult, right? So all you need to do for you to learn about the start a career path in the games industry. If you're ready, okay, these are like I have to advise. If you're coming from, if you already have skill set in this in one of these skills I mentioned, if you're already a product designer, you're already a UI UX person, if you're a developer, you're a writer, and all of these data analysts or any of the career paths which I have mentioned earlier, right? All you need to do is understand um, how to use your skill in the games industry, right? And then we also have platforms like Spark Fellowship that trains people who wants to that trains teach a different career paths in the games industry. So you can just go to Africa Communicate, you go to the Spark Fellowship, and then you can check it out to learn how to. Then you would see different career paths basically for you to choose, and then you can enroll in any of them, and then you can learn, right? So how can you start a career path in the game industry? It's just for you to start. And then how do you start? Get knowledge. You already have the knowledge. What platforms do I need to? There are different platforms, but you can also check out Africa Communicate, Spark Fellowship, and then see how you can enroll in any of the courses and then get a career path. And one amazing thing about the games industry is after you've done that, then you now need to basically join, in fact, join a community, Africa Communicate community, or any other community that exists, right? And then learn, get mentors, and then see how you can basically build a career in the games industry. So, yeah, I think I should stop sharing my screen. Uh, Okay. So yeah, so these are like the most basic career paths in the games industry. They are technical. If you're very good with the technical part, you can choose different careers in the technical part of games, right? And then in the technical part, we have where you have the game design, we have game programming, we have game artists, game animators, game audio engineers, sound engineers. They all belong in the technical part, right? Now for the non-technical roles, for people who I want to really like understand like I'm going to the non-technical roles or know which of the career paths are the non-technical roles. That's where you have your game testers. That's where you have your game interpreters. That's where you have your programmers, your story writers, your game journalism, and then you have your user experience designer, your UI, and all of those things. They all belong in the non-technical career paths in games. So these are like the major career paths. If you want to learn how to go about them, you can just write to Africa Communicate or send a mail or whatnot, and then see how you can just proceed. So that is all for now. Priyanshi, are you there? Yeah. 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 So I think I'm seeing some questions, and can we actually take questions? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, Okay, so for me personally, everybody has their reasons, but for me personally, so I started out as a UX designer, right? I started out as a UI UX designer, right? And then I've been in UI UX. I've been creating experiences and then interfaces in the regular text space. That was before and I've been playing games all the while, but I always had that passion and zeal to build games. Well, I thought it was like rocket science because I thought it was very, very difficult. Not till later on, like 3 years ago, I started reading about it. And I realized that it's actually very possible to build games. And then it's even easy. And then I was thinking that I was among those people that had that thought that you really need to you really need to you for you to be in the games industry you need to learn how to code because I don't really have that flair for codes. I don't really like coding and it's just very complex for me. So that was when I realized okay I can actually function as a UI UX person, and then I went in, I learned about it, and then it was quite easy for me, right? And I realized that the games industry is that big. So one of the reasons why I actually went to the games industry is because I realized that the game industry it has lots of potential, right? And then there is a huge future in the games industry because if you look at it, right, trends would always come, trend would always go, right? There was a particular time where everybody was into XR and all of that, right? And then everybody started doing XR, and then there was a particular time where everybody started talking about AI, and then all of those things happened. And there was a particular time when blockchain came about, everybody started blockchain. The good thing about game is no matter the trend that comes in, you can actually apply it in the games industry. So you don't really need to like deviate so much. You just need to know how to use those strengths and then put it in your stuff, and then you're good to go. So games industry is that industry that in the next 10, 20 years, that will still be relevant. because people are still playing games. People will still be playing games, and no matter the trend, I'll still be making games for people to play. Okay, so one good thing about talking about the African studios, there are lots of African studios that are there. Many people don't really know that there are tons of studios in Africa, right? Even people in Africa don't even know that there are lots of game studios in Africa, right? So how do you break in? Yes, the truth is there are African studios that will take you if you're good, right? And then there are also African studios that are willing to teach you. There are different companies or game companies running programs, game programs for people who want to learn. And it's not just African based, it's not just region based, it's global based, right? So as long as, and most of these things happen remotely or online, virtually, basically. So you just need to learn. If you don't already have the skills, you can just learn, join the programs. You can learn from Africa Communicate and Spark Fellowship, and then there are other programs still in Africa which you can learn. And then all you need to do, and then most times in most of these programs, after they are done with the programs, they actually recruit people right directly into studios. So they actually recruit people into studios, right? So if you're looking for job careers, if you're looking for careers, or if you want to work in African studios, fine, you can just search for the African studios that aligns with what you want or what you do already, and then you can actually mail them, hey, hi, this is what I do, and then you just basically, or you connect with the community, right? So there are different ways you can go about that. Yeah, there are different ways you can go about that. Then, if you still need more clarification, the person can just message or send a mail or direct message into Africa Communicate, and then somebody can put you through or join the community, and then somebody will definitely put you through. Yes. So earlier today, I was playing FIFA. I'm actually a FIFA fanboy. I love football so much. I was playing FIFA, and I do love Call of Duty. So I love Call of Duty. So I've been playing Call of Duty. I've been playing FIFA. But my all-time favorite game, I think I have two. I think I have also okay for mobile games. I play my games. I play my games a lot because I've actually beat some games. So I play my games a lot, and then I play my games a lot. Then basically console games. I do FIFA. I do Mortal Kombat, and I do some other Call of Duty too. I also do that. Yes, yes. So as a UI UX person or as a UI designer, and then you're functioning in the games industry, you need to create buttons. You need to create because most of those things are created, right? So you need to work, create buttons. You need to create all of those things, and then yes, you can use Figma. Figma is being used. Adobe X is being used, and any other UI UX tool that is being used in the regular text space can also be used in the games industry. So if you're very good with Figma, it's already an added advantage to you. You can learn that, and then if you're already good with it, yes, you can. That is being used in the video game. Can you hear me? No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just trying to like sort out something. Okay. Can a game journalist be a game analyst? Yes, a game journalist can actually work as a game analyst, but the thing is, both are two different roles, but they're actually alike. But one is very much technical, right? One is very much technical, and then the technical one has to do with the game analyst, right? For game journalists, you write about games, you write reviews about games, and all of those things. But a game analyst has to like most times you need to play the games in depthly, right? You play the game, you check stuff about the game, and then you write about the game. So one of them has to do with has more technical parts to it than the other. So yes, but as a game, as somebody who is in the game writing and journalism space, you can actually function. You can do both if you want to, or you can actually stand alone. It's even a lot easier if you're a journalist to work in as an analyst or your game, yeah, because you already have the writing skills, right? All you need to do is to understand in depth what you're supposed to analyze, and then you make your analysis, and then you put it out there. The thing is, I've not actually seen a particular thing that is not hard, right? Everything is hard, everything is easy, depending on your kind of person, right? Um, Game is not hard, right? For you meet some persons and then they find it very easy for them to write game codes. To them, writing game code is not as difficult as designing or creating environments or creating 3D characters, right? So game design or game in general, going to the game, it's not difficult, right? You just need to understand. What I advise people is this: you need to understand what you know how to do or what role would be very easy for you to do, right? And then you need to understand that. Then when you understand that, then you can actually choose a career path that is in line with that particular stuff which you do, which you're very good at. So it's easy and it's also difficult, right? And then just as every other tech skill or tech space or skill, basically, the more you practice, the more it becomes easy for you, right? But looking at it generally, like the first time I saw codes, that was like several years ago. I was like, this thing is like very difficult. The very first time I saw HTML codes, I was like, this thing is very difficult. And then I was like, wow, so people actually do understand this. But later on, I started writing. It didn't even take me more than a week. I was already writing HTML codes and all of that. So and then it became very easy for me, right? So it's not hard. You just need to understand how it works, and then you understand, and then you just learn it, right? So it's not difficult. There are different career paths, which I've said. There are the technical and then the non-technical part of it. You just need to know the one which you need to go into, and then you're good to go. Sorry, I didn't get that. So for me, going to the games industry, when I started, I didn't. It was difficult for me to. I struggled with mentorship, right? I struggled with mentorship because when I started, I could not really find game creators that were close to me, right? And then that was a struggle because uh, there are several things you just want to know, which you can't. You have to struggle on your own to get it, right? And that was a major struggle. Then secondly, I struggled with community, right? Because I needed people to put me through on several things, and then that was like a major struggle for me. So everything I was doing on my own. But currently now there are like not really there are several communities which you can join. You can join the community and then you have game communities where you meet people, and then the problems which might take me like 1 month, 3 months, 3 weeks to fix, you can get it fixed in a day. So I struggled with understanding what where I really wanted to function in the games industry because I originally I thought that I can actually become that the only career path in game was game programming. which many people call game development. So I struggled with that, and then I struggled. That was just like the major struggle, and then that was why I actually went ahead to create an ecosystem or a created Gameverse, right? And then it was because of the struggle. I was like, okay, fine, this is actually a problem, and then how do we solve it? And I decided that okay, fine, I'll solve it by advocating to different persons about the games, about games industry, about the video games industry, and that came about. That was how Gameverse Africa was founded, just because we needed to solve the problems which I actually had originally when I started out in the games industry. Okay, so I actually oversee games that is being built by Six Pass Studio. So Six Pass Studio is a game studio currently in Nigeria that focuses more on casual, hyper casual, mobile games. And then we decided to focus more on hyper casual, casual mobile games because of the African market. And then we have more mobile players, mobile users than PCs and consoles. So because of that, we decided to focus more on the casual, hyper casual, and mobile games. So most of the games that came out from that we have from Six Pass Studios are actually mobile, hyper casuals, and casual games. Then I've worked on different game projects. I've worked on some a platformer game project. I've worked on. I'm currently working on two games. I'm currently working on two games, which I can't really say because of NDA. But I'm currently working on two games, but different. But basically, I've worked on like different games, casuals, hyper casual. There's this one, Lieutenant Ahmed. It's already out. I think Lieutenant Ahmed is going through beta testing, and then there's this other one that is supposed to be out next week. Beta testing, Choo Choo Traveler, and there are still other games, and then which I'm working on for with Six Pass Studios and then with another studio.
That's interesting. That's a lot we learned from you today. Thank you. Thank you so much, Luz, for coming
Yeah,
here,
thank
telling our audience about all the possibilities in the gaming industry. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. Like for me, so
thank you so much.
for me, one game that has still kept me till today as an adult is whenever I want to play a game, I always go to Plant vs Zombies. I'm stuck with that game. One of our speakers has one more questions, so I think we are going to ask a last question and then we wrap up. So the last question is,
Oh, awesome.
how will someone go about working with game studios abroad or off the continent? Are they open to African developers?
How does somebody go about working with um, African? Sorry,
How would how will
can you hear
someone
me?
go about? There at the bottom, you can see the question.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen it. How will somebody go about getting work with game studios abroad or off the continent? Are they open to African developers? That's uh, okay. So I actually wish somebody was here to answer this question. Um, but from my experience and then everything I've seen in the games industry, especially in the African game industry, everybody actually open to where you mean abroad, you mean in Europe, Asia, and in the Americas, right? South America and also North America. So the thing is, there is um, if a company has an opening, they don't really, most times they don't really discriminate, right?
Lewis,
So
sorry.
you just need to know how you can get access to. Can you hear me?
Yes, we just lost you for a second there. I think it was a network lag.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Lewis. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So I'm saying that. Oh, okay, okay, cool. Yeah, yes, yes, I. All right. So what I'm
Okay.
saying is that for can you hear me? I think I'm having a lag.
Yes, I can hear you. I think maybe you should switch off your camera, maybe network lacking.
All right. So okay, how would somebody go about getting work or working with a game studio abroad, right? So all you need to do is there are different ways you can go about that, right? For me, the advice I would give is for you to search for it, and most of these things has to do with information. You just need to know the platforms you can use, right? And then you need to know the platforms or the platforms that they do most of these job openings, especially go to their career pages, right? If you already have these skill sets, right? Go to their career pages and then you check out if they have openings. And most times they have, as long as you have that particular skill set and then you have what it takes for that particular role, all you need to do is just to apply, right? In some cases, most some companies will tell you that they need that particular in a particular region, right? Where because they also need you to come in physically, right? So you just need to know, yes, for a studio that is outside that has an opening, if you're actually good and then you apply to that company, as long as they have opening and then they are willing to accept you, they would accept. So you just need to understand, know how to search for most of these gigs, and then you need to understand that you need to put your work out there, basically, right? And then job game companies are hiring, game companies are also losing people, they're also dropping people. But the good thing is, there is always a game company out there in one of these countries that would accept you if you're actually very good with what you do. But you just need to know how you can reach them. Then you can reach them simply by different. There are different methods, different patterns. You can reach them. You can get to them by social media. Basically, write to some of these people on social network, LinkedIn, or the rest of them. You can reach out to some of them on Twitter. You can attend conferences. That's one of the attending conferences. I can't really stress it enough, right? If you have an opportunity to attend a conference, a game conference, please do, because most times the network you're looking for that you would never meet in an online setting, you would meet them physically in a game conference. There are different conferences. Check out for game conferences happening around you, and then see how you can network. And then if you can attend, you attend. So there are just different ways you can do that. But if you see a job opening and then it's actually and you have the skill, please do apply. Please do apply.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your valuable advice. I hope our dear audience is all ready for this, all ready to hit the ground running. Thank you so much, Lewis. We are very glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karachi.
Thank you. So, now, guys, as we are going to wrap up the day, I'm going to ask my team so that they must please drop a link in the chat for you guys to take a survey so that you can tell us how was this session, how do you feel about this session, and what we can improve in our future sessions. So we always keep on serving valuable advice, valuable information to our budding artists. Please, the link has been dropped. Please click on the link while you fill the form. For those of you who joined late, I'm going to give you a recap of the whole session that we have. So, the session started, we kicked off the session with our program manager, Miss Faith Benson, who was telling us about Africa Comicade, what Africa Comicade is about the four programs under the Africa Comicade, and how we as a team continuously working to grow each other. Please fill this short feedback survey from Africa Comicade so we can come even better and stronger tomorrow for you. And so, sorry for the interruption. While there were several network glitches, but Miss Faith, she explained us what Spark Fellowship is about the ARC Fellowship, the Gameathon, and everything that Africa Comic Ade is bringing to you. So, please fill the survey and tell us more. On the second note, we have Mr. Louis White, who joined us, who was an XR developer and also advocate in the gaming industry, who was telling us about the different kind of games that we have in the gaming industry. The best part is he introduced us to the technical part and also to the non-technical part, and my favorite, he explained to us who is a game dev. So a game developer, as a lot of us think when we hear the term game developer, is program as well. Not to pop your bubble up there, but a game dev is not someone who write code for the game, but it can be also someone who tests the game by playing the game for bugs, who writes about the game, who reviews the game, writes the storyline of the game, designs the game, everything. So yes, game development is huge. It's massive. It comprises of so many fields. There is game production manager, product management, technical writing, story writing, X, uh, XR development, UI UX development, animation. There is so much into game development that you just need to follow it with all your heart, all your passion when talking about game development. He explained to us difference between the technical fields of the game development and non-technical fields of the game development. We also had a couple of questions where our users, our audience, asked him about his experience as a game developer, what made him break in the game development, his passion, and the games that he plays. So he did mention a couple of games, well, two games to be exact, that he's currently working on. But as you know, we like you cannot disclose a movie story till a movie is out in the public in front of the audience. Similarly, Mr. Lewis couldn't tell us exactly the kind of games he's currently working on, but yes, he gave us a hint. He's working on two games. So yes, two nice fun games ready for us to play. I hope we get them soon, Mr. Lewis. Can't wait to get my hands on those games. And we also are one of the users also asked him that what made him break in the games industry. Well, totally, as I said before, it's all about passion. When you deeply feel about something, when it is the only thing you can dream of, when the only thing you think of waking up, sleeping, eating. Yes, that is when it's your passion. So he broke into game industry because of his passion. And the best part that I really love is that how he broke into game industry, being a UX UI dev to coding, because he explained the first time he saw HTML, it wasn't his piece of cake. He didn't like it. But eventually he started enjoying it. It didn't seem that difficult to him with time. So as the quote goes, when you feel about something very strongly and very passionate about something, just go follow it. Don't think too much, just follow it. Just take blind faith of leap, as they say, and follow it. And sure, success will definitely kiss your feet. One of our audience question was that how can they break into the game industry that coming from another industry? Well, uh, if to be honest, it all comes down to passion. As I've been preaching, passion, passion, passion. Because if you are really passionate about something, I honestly believe you do not need a formal qualification. Okay, then I hope all of you have filled the form and see you tomorrow. Don't forget, same time, same place, tomorrow. And tomorrow we are going to talk about animation, how to make those really nice, funny looking characters in gaming. So, see you tomorrow for animation. Stay tuned with Africa Comic Bye.